Rgarcia, and today I will be giving an informative speech on the importance of, not informative speech, but persuasive belief speech on the importance of buying organic. Everyone needs food to sustain life. Everyone eats food, everyone buys food, so that makes us all consumers of food. The decision of what food to buy and eat rests with us. It is our choice, as no one is making us consume a grease-laden hamburger and fries. No one is forcing us to make these decisions. As consumers, that responsibility falls on us. It's our choice. Today, the U.S. food system has an abundance of cheap processed foods, but just because it is cheap does not make it better. Choosing to buy organic and natural, non-processed foods is a great way to improve your health while helping support a cleaner environment. Today there are 4 key items that I'm going to review. 1, I will talk about the term organic and its application. 2, I will talk about why it's important as consumers to know where our food comes from. 3, I'll talk about why cheap food does not equal better food. And 4, I'll talk about how consumers can help reshape and reform their local food economies. The term organic isn't just a catchphrase that is used by vegans or vegetarians. It is a concept that has a much broader application. The term organic, according to the Riddell Institute, is a term that is used to describe how organic produce is grown, or how it is grown without the use of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, genetically modified organisms, sewage residue, and ionizing radiation. The term organic also refers to how animals are grown to produce meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products. Animals that are not grown with growth hormones and antibiotics, animals that are grown in natural environments under humane conditions. Consumers should know and care about where their food comes from. The concept of the family farm, the way animals used to graze on grass and there were a wide variety of crops grown, is no longer the common reality. According to the Iowa Law Review, agriculture today consists of hundreds of acres of land where primarily we have corn and soybeans growing, along with hundreds of metal buildings that contain thousands of animals. This is known as factory farms, factory farming. And this is the primary source of food in America today. The goal was to produce a lot of food in the cheapest way possible. The use of factory farms has consequences, as outlined by the Iowa Law Review. The overuse of land resources has resulted in topsoil depletion and mineral depletion from the soil. The use of chemicals and fertilizers has resulted in water pollution. Animal feces from factory farms has found its way into our water supply and has, as a result, cross-contaminated our crops, and this has resulted in increased cases of E. coli and salmonella poisoning. Animals raised in factory farms are fed a corn feed diet. Animals such as cows are not biologically tuned to process corn. A corn-based diet makes them sick. This causes them to have an increased case of having E. coli, and animals that are grown in factory farms often don't see daylight. They are grown on, they use growth hormones and antibiotics to help speed the growing process. They often are forced to live in small enclosed spaces where they often stand in their own feces until they die or are slaughtered. Cheap food does not mean better food. According to Dr. Mark Heyman, the majority of the U.S.-based processed foods today consist of corn and soybeans. The goal, again, was to produce a lot of food in the cheapest way possible. But this has had unintended health consequences for Americans, right? It has led to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, just to name a few. Grocery store shelves today are lined with hundreds of products. And it looks like we have a wide variety of food available to us, but when in fact it's an illusion. They want you to think that we have a wide variety of products on the market today, but the majority of things that are on the shelves today consist of corn and soybean products. Again, the goal was to produce a lot of food in the cheapest way possible. The government is responsible for some of this because they encourage farmers and actually ask them to only grow corn and soybeans. They encouraged them to grow more than what was required and offered subsidies in exchange for that, right? They paid them to do this, to basically flood the market in order to drive down the cost, right? Drive down the price. This is also a reason why organics cost more today, is because they're not backed by government subsidies. They don't get the same benefits that the major corporations out there have today from these subsidies. Processed foods contain high amounts of fat, sugar, and salt. And again, this has led to a health epidemic in America, with people being obese, having diabetes, and heart disease. This is why cheap food does not equal better food. But the great news is that consumers have a choice, and they can help improve their food economies. According to the Rodale Institute, choosing to buy fresh and locally grown produce helps put the food dollars back into the local communities and gives it to the local farmers, right? It takes those dollars away from the few elite corporations that exist today in the processed food section. So buying locally grown organic produce helps support local communities. It brings the concept of food back to what it was meant to be, right? To help sustain health in a responsible way. Consumers should care about where their food comes from, and consumers can help reshape and reform their local communities and the availability of food by buying these items, right? They can help. It helps provide, better options for people, and it helps drive down the cost for everyday consumers. In conclusion, choosing McDonald's drive-thru over preparing a home-cooked meal is probably faster and cheaper. Look to the person beside you and say, I've done that. I know, we've all done that. However, just because it is fast and cheap does not make it better. As consumers, we are responsible for our own choices. Food can either have a positive impact or a negative impact on our health and our environment. Choosing to buy organics and locally grown fresh produce can help put those dollars back into your local community, giving them to your local farmers, and in essence can help reshape and reform your local food economy. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.